Evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Okay, I am Nahan, and I am thankful to Mavin for having invited me and Rajvin to give a talk today. And today's topic will be principle-centered life. Yeah, principle-centered life. I felt that this topic is quite interesting because all of us have got a life to live. Yeah, and we must ensure that we are living a focused and a meaningful life, a purposeful life. Okay, so that at the end of the day, we will be able to leave behind a legacy. Yeah. So when we say principle-centered life, what do we mean by the word principle? Okay, very often we hear he is a principle centered person. He is a principle centered person. I am a principle centered person. What do I mean by saying that I am a principle centered person? Okay, the word principle itself, it has got a few criteria for it to be termed as principle. And these principles are basically the first one is they are supposed to be universal. Okay, our principle must be universal. That means it is applicable everywhere, wherever you are, North Pole, South Pole, you know, it is applicable universally. Second one is it has to be timeless. There is no time frame for a principle. Okay, we cannot say that I have got this principle for the next 10 years. Then it is no longer a principle. Okay, it is timeless. The third one is the third criteria of a principle is it has it has to be a natural law. Okay, it is just like a pen that we drop. I need not prove that if I let go my hand, the pen will drop. Okay, it is a natural law because of the gravity pull. When you drop a pen, it drops. Okay, so these are the three criteria that must entail for us to call a principle. Okay, if I am going to live a life of principle, whatever I do must adhere to these three criteria. That is universal, timeless, and a natural law. Okay. Therefore, centering our life around an enduring principle to ensure personal values lead to a effective and a long-term benefit. So we have to ensure that in order to live a purposeful life, okay, and an effective life, whatever we do must be principle centered. Okay, so in saying so, in life, if we want to achieve high aspiration, we want to achieve or identify and apply the principles of natural law that governs your life. Okay, so we want to achieve this. We want to achieve a life. We want to achieve a high aspiration. We want to have an idea. We want to we want to live a life of principles that governs our life. That is what we call a principle-centered leadership. How are we going to apply these principles? All depends. Yeah, how are we going to apply these principles? All depends, and principles will vary and will be determined by your strength, by your talent, and desire from inside out. That means inside out. Principle-centered persons always work from inside out approach. It has to be from inside. It cannot be just to please others. It cannot be dictated by other people, then it is no longer a principle. Okay, a principle is something, if I am a principle centered person, whatever I do based on the natural law, based on the timeless principles, and they based on the universal principles, all these actions must come from deep inside me. Okay, so that is what you call principle centered life. The character ethic, which is also part of principle, yeah, because character, whatever character we have, must also entail uh, these three perspectives: universal, timeless, and natural law. That is why when you talk about character, the character ethic is based on the fundamentals idea. Okay, the character ethic is based on the fundamental idea that there are principles that govern our behaviors, our actions. That is the natural law. The character depends very much on the principles of natural law. That means if my character is acceptable, universal, my character is timeless. Okay, is if my character is based on natural law, okay, then my character will be seen as a proactive action by others. Okay, it is like a lighthouse that cannot be broken. A character based on principle centered is something like a lighthouse. It cannot be shaken. It cannot be broken. Okay, even if I were to go against the principles, what will happen? My character goes down. Okay, it's something like a lighthouse. We cannot go against a lighthouse. The lighthouse is there to guide ships from getting into the water that are very, what we call, a lot of rocks and so forth. It will make sure that the ships do not go near that. If any ship disobeys the law, the natural law of the lighthouse, who is at loss? Definitely, it is not the lighthouse. It is the ship itself because it went against the natural law. Okay? Because character is based on principles, they bring long-term benefits. Okay? We must remember that because characters is based on principles, they bring long-term benefits. Okay, a principle-centered person often begins with a vision. A principle-centered person often begins a vision that is crystal clear. Visions are usually has to be drafted, okay, drafted, and they have to be crystal clear so that it will be easy to follow the vision statement. Yeah, we all have got our vision statement. Very often, most of us have the vision in our mind. It is not the right way of living a vision because visions are supposed to be drafted. A vision statement is supposed to be drafted and pinned at a place where we can see every day. The minute we see it every day, say every morning when I get up, I look at that vision statement. I read it over every day, over a period of time. That vision is goes into my subconscious mind, and that will shape my behaviors. Okay, my actions. Sorry, my actions. That will shape my actions. At the end of the day, I will be able to achieve my desired results because I have got a very clear and drafted vision statement. These are what a principle-centered lifestyle entails. Yeah. So apart from that, as we know, in any action, there must be the first. It must be imagined. Whatever action I want to do, whatever my behaviors, I have to think first. I have to have a mental map. If I do this, what would be the consequence? If I do not do this, what would be the consequences? That is the first process. Once you have it in your mind, then you put it out into action. Okay, if it is not in the mind, it's very difficult to put it into action. So the first creation is always in the mind. The second creation is the blueprint, and this blueprint will guide us in all our activities. Yeah. So that is why behaviors that are based on principle centered lifestyle or principle centered will definitely give us a long term benefit. Okay. Only principle centered person will have be able to sustain this for a long time. If you're not principle centered, today your behavior is different. Tomorrow your behavior is different. After a few days, after a few weeks, you may change. You may change your vision. Then at the end of the day, you will not have a concrete vision. No, you do not know what is the purpose of our life. There's no focus. Okay? And also, a principle centered person will be able to know where to focus. No? Where to focus their time and energy. They will know where to focus their time and energy. Only a principle centered person will know that. You know why I say that? It's because, you see, there are things which is under our control. There are things that is not under our control. Okay? So there are two levels of circles here. The first circle is called the circle of influence. Circle of influence are things that we have control, things that we can take charge, things that we can change because we are principle centered, and I've got a character that is based on principles. I've got a very clear vision. Then I will be able to identify which areas can I focus, which which areas can I focus my time and energy so that it is highly productive. Okay, we can only focus in the circle of influence. That is things that are manageable by us, things that we can change, things that I have the empowerment, I have the ability to change. Okay, these are areas where we can effect change, enhance personal growth, and also enhance other people's productivity by giving them advice, by coaching them, by training them. So if we work on it, we can change it. Sometimes in the office environment, if there are some teams or some people who are not very, what do you call, productive, we can use our circle of influence to give training, give coaching, and eventually we can change them. Okay. On the other hand, there are also certain things that we cannot change. That is called the circle of concern. Circle of concern is outside in, whereas a circle of influence is inside out. That's why I always say principle centered person, they work from inside out. Whatever they do is inside out. So when you focus on the circle of influence, it is basically you are working from your own heart, from inside you. And when you work with an inside out approach, you can really make it happen. Okay? We can have control over them. Okay? Circle of influence is a point where the inner meets the outer. Circle of influence is a point where the inner meets the outer. Okay, whatever is inside us, we bring it out. Okay, we have the power to use the inside out approach, okay, that over the matters that we can control. Example, improving personal skills and habits, influencing others, affecting relationship, contributing to the community. See, all these things we can work from within us. We have the ability to change. We have the ability to enhance, to make life more purposeful. Okay. On the other hand, as I said earlier, there's another element that is the circle of concern. These are areas that we do not have control. Okay. They are external. They work upon you. Okay. Things that you worry about, things that you worry about that is beyond your control, that is beyond your power to change. See, I'm getting so stressed. I'm getting so stressed. I'm so worried, and I don't have the power or the ability to change others. This also in. There's nothing much I can do. So why waste time on that? No. So it's better to focus on the circle of influence. Okay. Example of circle of concern, climate change. You cannot change climate change. Okay? If it's a rainy day, it's a rainy day. What you can do is bring an umbrella. You cannot get to stop the rain. Global issues. It is also out of our control. You know, it's a global affair. What can we do? That is external politics. When there is an external politics, you cannot do anything. So you just do not focus on these areas much. Yeah, focus more on the circle of influence. So this is what a person who is living a principle-centered lifestyle will be looking into. If we focus much on circle of concern, we are just causing ourselves stressful. We are just getting upset for nothing, for no reason, which you cannot overcome. Okay? It's a waste of energy. Another aspect of a principle-centered person is persistent in doing things. Okay, principle-centered person focuses or is very persistent on what he is doing. Okay, he will not change. He is not going to sit on the fence. Today I'm siding you, tomorrow I side the other person. That is, you're sitting on the fence. But a principle-centered person will be aligned to whatever behaviors, whatever actions that he is doing based on the three elements of the criteria of a principle-centered lifestyle. That is, first and foremost, it is a universally accepted. It is a timeless activity. I mean, it is a timeless. Okay. Third one is it is universal. Okay. You cannot change these three. Any activities that do not or any actions that do not meet these three criteria cannot be considered as a principle-centered person. That is why we always say organizations, they are looking for principle-centered leadership. Why? because these are the people, these are the brainstorm, these are the real assets of the company because they know what they're doing, they have got a solid vision, okay, and they do things which many people do not do. Okay, these are the leaders who can guide other people, who can influence other people. Okay? Having said so, principle about I will talk about principle centered person. Many people claim I am also principle centered, but actually it is not the principle that they are talking about. They are talking about the value system. We always get mixed up with principle and value. Both has got different meaning. Okay, a principle is something that it must meet the three criteria, as I said earlier. Yeah, that is universal, timeless, and uh, natural law. Okay, universal, timeless, and natural law. Whereas many people also do things which are does not follow these three criteria, but they also say I'm a personal-centered person. For example, let's take a case of bank robbery. A group of people, they team together. Okay, they team together. They are very good in teamwork. Okay, very good in teamwork. Everybody has got a role how to rob a bank. They plan it in so cleverly. Okay, and they go and rob a bank. They also have got, you see, whatever they do, they are highly committed. They have got teamwork. Okay, and they all got individual roles. It's very good, right? They also got principles. Yes, it has principles. Okay, same like a principle-centered person. They also got uh, all this thing, all this criteria. But what the robbers are doing, is it principle-centered? Does the action meet the criteria of universal? Does the criteria meet the principle of timeless? Does the actions follow the universal law guidelines? If it does not match any one of the three, then no matter whatever system, whatever principles they have, it is not a principle. It is a value system. A value system is something they act to meet their desire. That's value. Okay, but many people always assume a value and principles are equal. It is only equal if both entails the three criteria of a principle. Otherwise, if you are doing wrong things, okay, no matter if you have got a teamwork, you've got very good collaboration, your connection is very good, your relationship is very, very good, you can really do a lot of things highly productive in doing bad things. But does it is it timeless? Is it universally accepted? Is it a natural law that is accepted? If it doesn't meet these three, then whatever they are doing, it is their value. Yeah, that is why we always say a value is a subjective matter. It is very subjective. Okay, when I say, as I say, the case of of the robbery, it's very subjective. Okay, people may claim, yeah, I'm also a principle-centered person. I'm following all these things. I've got a good team. We can work hand in hand. But does it follow the criteria of the three the principles? Yeah. So if it is not, then you cannot take a value to equal principle. Okay. As I said, yeah, value is a belief system that a person holds in with regard to sorry, okay, value is a core belief that a person holds. Yeah, value is a core belief that a person holds with regard to his needs, with regard to his wants. Okay, it is often abstract and subjective. It is defined what is good or important for that person. It is a desired state of quality. If these values meet the criteria of that of a principle, then their value system is a principle-centered system. Otherwise, it is never. That is why when we talk about principle-centered leadership, you know, whatever we do must be aligned. Okay? Having a vision statement and then working on it with integrity, honesty, respect. See, all the proactive things, all the good things are part and parcel of the three criteria of a principle. Okay. If you read the Seven Habits of Highly Effective People by Dr. Stephen Covey, he puts it very clearly, a principle-centered person. See, first and foremost, as I said earlier, you must have a drafted vision. Okay, a drafted vision which comes into first is in the mindset, then second you draft it in a blueprint, then you put it into action. And when you put it into action, you must do it with integrity. That is, integrity is not only bribery. Yeah? Integrity is a lot of encompasses a lot of things. Okay, respect, finishing your job in time, you know, and not wasting a lot of time, and your language, be a proactive person. Then he talks about the beginning, the end in mind, and put first things first. All this encompasses only principle-centered person. Okay, so the topic for today, what I mentioned, is very pertinent for anybody who want to live a life of a principle-centered lifestyle. Yeah, it's very important so that at the end of the day, when you do it in a proper manner, according to the laws, the laws or the principles, you will be able to leave behind a legacy. You know, we only live once. We are not going. There's no second chance. So while you live a life, a meaningful life, a purposeful life that will enable you to have a legacy. Legacy is very important. Without a legacy, whatever talents, whatever expertise, whatever skills you have, it dies with you. Okay, it just dies off with you. There's no continuity. Whereas if you have got a legacy, especially if it is in a written form, in a booklet form, even if we are not there, our principle centered lifestyle will still be there to guide the next generation. Yeah. So I think what I've said now would have given you some insights, okay, on what a principle centered person would want to live. Okay. So having said this, yeah, for us to work all this, of course, it's easy to talk. Okay, as a trainer, it's easy for us to talk. But when it comes to implementation, there are a lot of things that block us. Okay, there's a lot of facade in front of us that we cannot go through. Yeah, especially your mind is not in a proper state, you're stressful, you are so busy, you cannot focus. So how are we going to bring all our mental challenges in a smooth, calm way so that you will be able to focus on being a principle-centered person? This is where my partner Rajvin will be able to share with you how to use laughter yoga to overcome the challenges that you might face as an individual so that your mind can be ready to accept and go into action to put the principle centered lifestyle in a much easier way. So, with that, I would like to pass the stage to Rajvin. Rajvin,
Thank you, Nahan, for the beautiful sharing. As for my part, before I go uh, to to before I go to the main points of this talk, I would also start with laughter yoga. One exercise of laughter yoga and followed by meditation and then sharing of my thoughts and question and answer for both of us and message from Shabana and everyone else. So, laughter yoga has 5 steps: clapping, breathing, shy like play, laughter exercise in silence. But for today, for today's um talk, we have a affirmation for you guys that we want you guys to practice with laughter. It goes like this: I am a person, principle centered person. Ha 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 ha. You are a principle centered person. Ha 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 ha. And we are all principle centered persons. Ha 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 ha. So, very good, very good. Yay. I know it's hard, but very good, very good. Yay. So, when we lost in life, we must celebrate our life. And um so so that was laughter yoga session. Now, before I start my sharing, I would also do a small meditation for you guys. Is how to be a principle centered person using meditation and using my daily life principles. So, for this meditation, I want you guys to close your eyes. Try to think of nothing. Think of all the positive, positive vibrations, positive principles like optimism, optimism, gratitude, joyfulness, and respect, and being happy, and being uh, being gratitude in in the way of life, because whatever you do now will reflect your legacy later on. So for me, I would actually encourage everyone to be joyful, be happy, and be 1 cup of being joyful, 1 cup of being all the positive energies, and one cup with all your negative vibrations like hatred, jealousy, uh, people, people, people absorption, naysayers. We put it in the negative emotions cup, and all the lust, all the greed, and take the negative energy and throw and say that from today onwards, I will be a principle centered person with the grace of God. Whatever you believe in, with the grace of God, we are here to be grace, be graceful, despite pain and agony that we all go through. So, whenever you're ready, you may open your eyes and rub your palms onto your closed eyes and ha 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 ha. How did that feel? I'm sure that felt very relaxing. Now, that was laughter yoga and meditation for all of you. So, um, now I would like to share my sharing. Okay. Um, as Miss Beautiful Smile for Miss Amazing Malaysia 2023-2024 and a certified laughter yoga teacher, I feel that being a principle centered person, uh, being a can be more joyful using laughter yoga, empowerment, and and good values. Now, special thanks to Dr. Shabana and Mavin team for inviting me and Nahan for this talk today. For this talk, I will cover what is principle what is my definition of uh, principle centered person, why we need to use laughter yoga in being a principle centered person, and how you can apply it in your life. Now, what is principle centered person from my definition? Being a principle centered person as a laughter yoga teacher and Miss Beautiful Smile means to me that living by your principles with smile, smiles and laughter, despite all the challenges you have been through, and I use that being being I use that every day in my life. Why we need to be a principles centered person? Because principle gives us uh, di- discipline. Principle gives us determination. Principle gives us motivation that hey, we need to be disciplined. We need to be systematic, and we need to have a graceful do our activities in a graceful manner. Although sometimes life breaks us down with pain, from talking from personal experience, life broke me down by shoulder pain and all kind of thing, but never never give up. So how do we apply principle centered living um, through laughter yoga and meditation and empowerment, as what Nahan just said, and also, if I may add, book writing, is that we need to express our feeling as and when we have to, because I do express my feeling. Self-expression is very, very important for me in being a principle centered person. And also, gratitude is very, very important for me. As 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 laughter yoga, as how laughter yoga makes me a principle centered person. Laughter yoga helps me and everyone else reduce stress, reduce um, increase happy hormones, and of course it causes emotional catharsis because it causes the release of pent up feelings and improves breathing. So why don't you use principle? Why don't you use laughter yoga as part of your principle centered live life to enjoy your fruits of your labor and leaving behind a legacy, because people do not want to see a person who is um, not smiling and being a sour face, and that's not called principle centered person. Principle centered person means that you are all rounder, you practice work life balance, and you practice prayer, and you practice joyfulness. And I thank three people in my life for doing this, for teaching me to be a principle centered person. The first one is um, Mr. Warren Shanmugam. The second one is my parents. The third one is my caregiver. And the fourth one is Nahan and Miss Menika Devi Rajamanikam, who was involved in the pageant, who taught me how to be principle centered person, so that I could be I could stand up for myself without depending on anyone else whenever I don't need to. I mean, being mentally strong is also um, part of being a principle centered person, with less disturbance on your emotions. But if the person disturbs your emotions, that will hinder. If a person disturbs your emotions, say it out right away. Don't keep it inside. So, um, with so I encourage everyone to be a principle centered person, because principle centered person will enhance your productivity and gives you more enthusiasm, and gives you more uh, joyfulness. Uh, so I would like to also thank my hypnotherapist, Dr. Ajit Luder, who who guided me how to be a principle-centered person. Thank you, Nahan, for choosing this topic. And I open the floor for question and answer. Before I open the floor for question and answer, if I can be a principle-centered person, so can you with motivation and laughter. So what is your excuse? Thank you. Shabana, you
Thank you,
have anything
Rajvin.
to say?
Yeah. Thank you, Rajvin. You integrated very well to the how to live principle-centered, you know, life. And thank you, Nahan, as well. You brought both of you brought such a practical tips and and necessity. Like it is important to be resilient. I guess. I think Premji also want to share. Premji, do you want to?
Yeah, I was late in coming on board, but better late than never.
Yeah.
And uh, thoroughly enjoyed myself listening to YB, Nahan, and Rajvin. Yeah, it's a very straightforward thing. What you're saying. Uh, I practice this, but I do add one more value or one more element to this. Is that I observe life more. I do things without expectations. I just do it because it has to be done. I satisfy that call. Uh, whether it elicits any response which I am requiring, it doesn't matter. It's not within my grasp. It's not within my influence. It's their if they feel that there is something to respond to, they are ready to respond. Okay, fine. It may not be instantaneous. They may take time to digest. It's their life. Life goes on. And I have to be patient and observant. And if there is a response, why not? I will not prejudge and say, "Oh, ungrateful," not understanding the value of what I'm being. No, I can't say that. I only bring it to the table. They need to do something with it. I cannot kick the ball for them. I only bring the ball to the feet to kick to them. I find that, for example, what happened yesterday, a 15-year-old lad came to see me. He says he's doing in some music production. He's doing with some American people. He's a local guy, but he says, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I say, fine, good. I'm very excited that for him, that as a 15-year-old person, he can do something very unusual. My only word of caution was be careful. There are dotted lines. You have to be very, very careful about when it comes to signing or what. You have to be careful because exploitation can take place. Given the useful 15-year-old usefulness, the bigger excitement, it's fine. But it has to be a bit grounded there. Otherwise, we can carry away. It's like euphoria, eureka. But I share his excitement. His school holidays now. So he's doing something very productive with his life. Instead of hanging around doing other nonsense, he's chosen to do that. I wouldn't wish his life on people. I know he went through a lot of challenges, yet he emerged wanting to take side of the right things to do, the principle for things to do. That was I told him that I'm very impressed that you took this. I think he was looking for some validation from a person of my age. He came to me, I'm 67, he's 16, 15, 16. I was very enthusiastic for him. I shared his enthusiasm because that's excitement on his part. Yeah. It may work out the way he wants it, it may not work out. I don't know. I've seen his work, I've seen his core work and all that. His to do with music back home. So this this session which I attended today, it gave me some sort of a guideline here. They reinforced in my mind, Prem, this is a value what Nahan and Rajvin are saying. Use it, ground yourself here. Bear this in mind if you are dealing with the guy, Darren. Bear this in mind as you deal with him. So it's so timely. It came just in time for me to reformulate my perspective. Thank you so much for this, Nahan and Rajvin.
Thank you.
Very well said. Very well said, Premji. I think the example that you gave, the one you quoted about the young lad, I think is very interesting. Yeah, yeah, I would agree to what you said. Basically, principle-centered people, if there are a lot of us or a lot of them who are focused in their principle-centered life, I think we will all be very, what you call, highly productive, less stress, and we know what we are doing. Even our children, they will respect parents if the parents are principle-centered, because the children knows, oh, this is how my father is. He is a very principle-centered person, so I must be very careful when I talk to him. He knows what he's talking. He cannot be easily swayed. He knows what is right. Yeah, he has been doing it. So we must follow his footsteps. And people who are focusing on this principle-centered lifestyles, usually they are the people who can easily leave behind legacy. And their legacy will remain for a long, long time, especially if they have written a book. If it's not documented, then it won't last. It won't stay. It's only temporary. Very fast people forget because we are all meant to forget things. Yeah, we cannot remember for a long, long time unless there are some evidence in the form of a written document. Like you see, even the vision statement. If it is not documented, it will not become a vision because it's impossible for us to remember the vision statement and our actions may not be aligned unless we look at the vision statement every day, in and out. Every morning I get up, I see over a period of time that vision of the company, of the family will be embedded in our subconscious mind. So everything, it must be documented. Yeah. So I say legacy also documented. So to me, I always feel people who are principle centered, they are the people who can be influencers. They can influence others, and people will like to listen to this kind of people, this kind of talk. People who are highly, what you call, uh, principle centered. I would love to listen to what they have to share. So to me, I feel this is a very good subject today. I hope the viewers will benefit from what we have spoken. And Premji, I think what you have shared also is very important, very useful. So hope viewers can also take note of what you have said, your experiences encountering the young lad. Yeah. So with that, I think I've completed what I have to say. So back to you, Dr. Shabana.
Shabana, do you have anything to say before we wind up?
No, thank you for, sharing. And I totally agree with what you're saying. Like, we have to be mindful, even in our businesses as well, that, our principles are always communicated and all of it. So thank you for creating it. So I think we can wrap it because we don't have more questions, but it's really worth listening to. Such kind of talks are very important. I think it should be regular.
Very practical.
Yeah, very practical as well.
Practical. Yes. It's not theory, it's all practical actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
So thank you so much, Nahan. Thank you so much, Rajvin. And we look forward to see you again soon.
Okay, good night.
Good night.
Good night.